What is smoking? Smoking is a practice where a substance, mostly tobacco or cannabis, is burned and the smoke is tasted or inhaled. In addition to this, it is the cause of many diseases like lung cancer, and people continue because of the addiction. What is alcohol? Alcohol is a beverage containing ethanol, consisting of beers, wines, and spirits. They cause heart diseases, and people adhere to it as a way of relaxation. Let's take a look on some of the statistics on smoking. Between young teens of ages 13 to 15, 1 in 5 of them smoke worldwide. 50% of children who start smoking in their adolescence go on to smoke for 15 to 20 years. Half of the long-term smokers will die because of smoking-related diseases. Now, on to statistics on alcohol. In 2004, 13.6% of fatal crashes were caused by young people aged between 15 to 20 years. For this age group, 29% of them were killed because of drinking alcohol. The number of deaths caused by alcohol consumption is 24,518. Alcohol is the number one cause of deaths of people under the age of 21. Smoking is not worth the risk. Here are some of the diseases that can be caused by smoking. The ones that I'm going to be focusing on are lung cancer and coronary heart disease. What is lung cancer? Lung cancer is where there's uncontrolled cell division in the lungs. It leads to overwhelming amounts of mutated cells, not allowing the lung to carry out its original function. Here are the actual things that make up a cigarette. The main thing that destroys the human body is nicotine. These harmful substances, specifically nicotine, destroys the air sacs in your lungs. I'm sure you don't want your lungs to go from this to this. Take a look on what doctors have to say about this.
What does smoking do to your body? Take a look. Every time you inhale that cigarette, do think that, hey, I'm breathing in carcinogens, I'm breathing in toxins. But the nicotine in those cigarettes, what it does is it causes your heart rate to increase, causes an increase in respiration, increases your blood pressure. What the nicotine does in your brain, you see those nerve cells, it increases the release of dopamine. That's a pleasure center in your brain. That's why when those cells get flooded with dopamine after taking that drag on the cigarette, you have that feel-good relaxation. But the problem is when you don't have it anymore, you become nervous, you become irritable, and a smoker figures out exactly how much nicotine they need to keep those pleasure centers filled, and that's why you end up smoking a pack and a half a day.
Because it's a withdrawal, because it's an addiction.
And I want everyone to see what a healthy lung looks like versus a diseased lung, because again, you can talk abstractly all you want about smoking, and it doesn't really do a whole lot, right? Until you start talking about the nitty-gritty, until you start talking about what I see in the ER, okay? This is a healthy set of lungs. Nice color, nice size. This is someone who smoked their whole life. Just compare the colors. But what's happening inside this lung, and this is a cross-section, this is what we call early emphysema. It's pretty obvious to the naked eye that this is disease compared to this, right? When this patient comes to the ER, I'm going to show you how they're breathing. Needing oxygen, and I'm telling you right now, you smoke your whole life. I can tell the minute someone walks into the ER if they spent their life smoking. And what people don't tell you when you start smoking in your teens and your 20s is they don't tell you what it's going to be like when you reach 40 or 50 or 60, and every breath you take is a struggle.
Because those lungs are less flexible, less pliable. That's why they can't.
They can't exchange oxygen as well. The beautiful thing, we're going to talk about this coming up, is if this is the way you were born, and you're starting to move into this direction from spending a life of smoking, you can go back to this. And these come from Bodies, the Exhibition.
Now on to coronary heart disease. Coronary heart disease is a disease of the narrowing of the blood vessels which supply oxygen in the blood to the heart. The clogging of the artery is caused by the plaque that gets stuck in them. Think of it as a blocked pipe. If there is something inside, nothing will flow through. The cross-section of the artery reduces, making it harder for the blood to pass through it. Let's look at alcohol now. These are the diseases that are caused by alcohol. The one that I will be focusing on is a liver disease, which is liver cirrhosis. What is liver cirrhosis? Liver cirrhosis is a disease or condition where the liver fails to fulfill its function. Its function is to filter harmful substances from the blood, such as alcohol. This is what a diseased liver actually looks like. As a result of liver cirrhosis, a person's stomach could become like this. Here's some interesting information on the matter.
Before I even start talking about alcohol, the very first thing I want to do is define it. The simplicity of it is that alcohol is actually dead, rotted food. The biggest effect of alcohol in the body is on the liver. The liver is important for a number of different reasons, but mainly your liver prevents the poisons from entering your body. In other words, it handles toxins and poisons that enter the body. Alcohol is a poison, and if you drink more than one 12-ounce beer in an hour, the liver cannot handle that poison. If you drink more than one 6-ounce glass of wine, same thing. Liver cannot handle it. Here are the short-term side effects of alcohol. Number 1, headaches. Number 2, impaired judgment. Number 3, unconsciousness. And number 4, coma. Here are the long-term effects of alcohol. Alcohol poisoning, liver damage, nerve damage, permanent damage to the brain. Those are the short-term and long-term effects of alcohol. Obviously, once again, we're all going to make our own decisions, but keep those in mind when you go to make that decision whether to use or not. Thank you very, very much for listening.
An example on alcoholism would be from the Alcoholics Anonymous group. A French lady named Miss M, aged 20, shares her story about her past life with alcohol. My sincere apologies for not displaying her real name or video in order to keep her identity protected. Here is her story.
When I was 12, my grandpa died, and I decided to run away, to leave my home and my parents, because I believed that they would end up killing me. That's what I thought. And that's when I started drinking, when I was 12. I learned how to lie and manipulate, and I was good at it. Since I was good in school, I was given many special privileges, which actually enabled me to start drinking even more. When I was 15 and a half, I was granted permission from the government to rent my own apartment. That just allowed me to drink even more. At the time, I ran with an older crowd. I lived right next to a bar, and I lived alone with no supervision because I proved I could be trusted. I had good grades, and those in charge thought everything was okay. At one point, I tried to stop drinking because I realized I was incapacitated. I was sick all the time, and at 17, nobody wanted to be around me anymore because I started to exhibit other problematic behaviors. I became violent and verbally abusive.
In the end, Miss M was able to get around her alcohol addiction, and she hasn't drank alcohol for the past 2.5 years. You definitely don't want this to happen to you.